Hello and welcome to this week's show of Way to Donuts. I'm Wayne Unger. I'm flying solo this week, and I have a very special guest. I have Jonathan Mayo from mlb.com. Jonathan, welcome and thank you for coming on.
My pleasure, Wayne.
So, okay, we're here really to talk about the upcoming MLB draft, but I'm just curious. How did the draft / minor leagues become your thing?
Well, I always enjoyed writing about prospects, even when I've been at mlb.com now for 18 years, and I did a lot of major league coverage, World Series, that sort of thing. But I always enjoyed covering prospects. The draft has long been an important thing on the website. Even long before it was on TV. In fact, us doing live video of it kind of, I think, helped lead people to believe that it could be a TV event. And then I guess in about 2003, there seemed to be a need, on MLB.com. We didn't have anybody just focusing on prospects. It was starting to grow, and so I kind of, in conjunction with the people that I work with, made the switch over to just doing prospects in the draft full time, and I've been doing it that way ever since.
Okay, great. And let me tell you something. And I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. MLB.com has surpassed, in my opinion, and in many other people's opinion that I talk to, has surpassed Baseball America in draft and minor league coverage. I'm actually, even with Major League Baseball, they've, surpassed ESPN and all the others. It's almost as though, some of the other sites have, given up. So,
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say.
Okay. So let's get right to it. I mean, all right, Monday. Who do you think's the first? I mean, I know you've already you've done some pre-draft things and you've put some lists out, but I would assume you get information. You keep getting ongoing information. Who's the first name called out on Monday?
I think it's still up in the air. That said, if I had to pick right now, and we'll do, both Jim Callis, my colleague, and I will do, final mock draft. We'll do one Sunday night, and then we'll do another one on Monday afternoon, kind of like a name only kind of deal. But if I had to do my final one right now, I would say Kyle Wright from Vanderbilt. That's who we've had in our mocks the last couple weeks. It still could be Brendan McKay from Louisville. It's not completely out of the question that Hunter Green, the high schooler who was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, or Royce Lewis, a very talented high school shortstop, also from Southern California, go number one. I think they're a half step behind the two college guys, but I think it's really between Wright and McKay right now. And if I had to choose Wright this second, I would say that it's going to be Kyle Wright.
Okay. Are we starting to see a swing toward college picks being preferred, really more so in the early rounds for teams that are looking for quicker advancement?
Not necessarily. I think it depends on the team. It depends on when they're picking, and it depends on each individual draft class. As much attention has been paid to, college guys and advanced metrics and things of that nature, it still ends up being, relatively close to being split down the middle in terms of who goes when. Now, usually what happens, Wayne, is right when it comes to decision time, some of the college guys who perform float upwards a little bit, and some of the high school guys, especially the high school arms, trend down a little tiny bit just because of the risk factor. The high school bats will go. They always go well. That's why you don't see as many college hitters in every draft, because I think the scouting industry has done such a good job over the last few years in really identifying the top the top high school hitters and taking them early so they don't end up going on to college.
Right. You know, it's funny, speaking about how the scouts have done a better job. About a month or so ago, I had Kevin Corain on. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He wrote a book called Dallas. Okay, he wrote a book called Dollar Sign on the Muscle. Came out, I think, in '84. And that was actually, you know, that opened up a whole nother area of baseball interest for me, which became minor leagues and scouting. He pretty much followed the Philly scouts in the '81 season, and you know, and the book was really about the '82 draft. And I had him on, and I had Jerry Krasnick from ESPN on.
Sure.
Because Jerry had written something a few years back. He was like doing a review of the 2002 Moneyball draft. So, I mean, and obviously, like both, you know, like the '82, you know, the book with Corain, it was all about the good face, the good body, and you know, everything that Billy Beane disdains in scouting. So, I mean, do you think scouting has finally like evolved into a hybrid of the two?
I think the teams that do it best are the ones that find some kind of hybrid approach. And I think it's, you know, the draft is such a crapshoot. I mean, you could do all the work in the world and still miss on a high pick. Just because it's such a tough game and so many things can go into not succeeding in the minor leagues to get up to the big leagues, and guys can overachieve, guys can underachieve, you name it. I think that any tool that you can use, any piece of information that you can use, you should use, right? So use advanced statistics, metrics, and you know there's more for high schoolers than there used to be because so many of these showcases use TrackMan and things like that. So there's spin rate information and exit velocity information. There's stuff that didn't exist. It's not as prevalent as the information for college guys. So, you know, a team that can use all that information in conjunction with the good old-fashioned eyeballing a player and evaluating him from a scout who is trained to do so, those are the teams that I think have the most success, not just in the draft, but also in terms of pro scouting.
And any particular teams that you think are ahead of the pack in that particular respect?
Oh boy, I mean, I think a lot of teams use, you know, combinations, and it's constantly evolving, so it's a little hard to say. You know, I think the Cleveland Indians, and they got away from it for a little while, but for a long time they've been very good at using both. You know, the Minnesota Twins for years and years and years were much more of the sort of old school eyeballing, and now with Thad Levine and Derek Falvey in the GM chairs, so to speak, they're introducing more of that evaluative approach that uses value models and advanced statistics and things of that nature. So I think that it's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate all of that as things move forward. This is their first draft altogether, and then talking to people in the front office, it's been an interesting exchange of ideas, and that's what you want. You want some combination. I think I live in Pittsburgh. You know, I think the Pirates have shown an ability to combine all the different approaches into what they do on the scouting development side. And
what about yourself? Give me some of your own on your own personal scorecard. Give me some of your hits and misses.
Boy, you know, the one thing I always say is my caveat is I don't pretend to be a scout. You know, I'm a reporter. So now I've seen enough baseball where I have a sense of what I see and guys I like, I don't like. But, you know, the things that I put out there in terms of draft coverage is all based on conversations that I have with scouts in the industry who are out there seeing players across the country. So it's hard for me to say that, I have a hit or miss. Yes, there are guys, who I thought were going to be tremendous that weren't. I mean, I still think it's too soon to make any determination, but, I guess Byron Buxton is a guy who kind of jumps out as a guy I thought for certain was going to be very good, and has struggled. I think that Dustin Ackley is another guy who I thought, boy, well, push comes to shove, at least he's going to hit. And, yeah, he's made it up to the big leagues and has had his moments, but he was not nearly the quality big league hitter that I thought he was going to be. So those are some of the guys who, and I'll still take the incomplete on Buxton because he's still really young, but he's not quite been the guy who I thought he was. And I guess on the flip side of that, we all liked Carlos Correa, but I don't think anybody realized he was going to be that good. And Carlos liked to point that out to me the last time I saw him. But jokingly, of course. But he has been a tremendous player, and so I guess those are more misses on both sides of the coin in terms of guys that I've talked about, at least in recent memory.
Okay. I know you got to go. I'm going to hit you with one last thing. Who should we be looking for at the top of the draft next year?
Oh, come on! I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
I got it. It's that I am so focused on the players in this year's draft, and because we do, pick by pick covers through 10 rounds. It's not that we get to a point where I don't know, we don't have a familiarity with players taken as the draft continues to roll on, but I have to try to wrap my head around as many players as possible in this year's draft. There are a couple of guys, and I can't even think of them, I saw in the Tournament of Stars last summer. What's his name? Mike Ciani. Now, I don't know if he's a top of the draft guy yet. I have not caught up with him, but he was really, really good as an underclassman. Ended up on the 18 and under team as an underclassman. There was one other guy, Jared Kalanick, I think his name was. That was the other guy. Two underclassmen, and I may be mispronouncing his name, but those are two guys I remember from Tournament of Stars who were really good as underclassmen.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I just saw something on my notes. One last quick question.
You're killing me, Wayne. No, go ahead. I'm just kidding.
Who do you think is the best prospect out there that has Major League Baseball bloodlines?
In this year's draft?
Yes.
There are not that many like top of the draft guys. The guy who probably will get drafted first, if I had to guess, will be Jacob Gonzalez. That's Luis Gonzalez's son, if you want to feel old, by the way, that his son is draft eligible. There are some other good ones. Roger Clemens has two kids at Texas. Mark Guthrie, if you remember him, big league reliever, his son is he's the only other one I could see going before Gonzalez's kid, just as a college performer at Florida. He's a shortstop, but he hasn't had a great year. So he was a guy that I thought could have gone a little bit higher. And then one last name to throw at you, and that is Dusty Baker's kid, Darren, the bat boy from the 2002 World Series that JT Snow swooped out of the way. He graduated high school and is more than likely, I think, headed to Cal for college, but he is a draft prospect this year.
Great. Okay. Jonathan, thank you very much for coming on. I truly appreciate it. And as we go through the season, I hope I can get you back on again.
Absolutely. You know how to find me.
Okay, you got it. Thank you, Jonathan. You have a
All
great
right.
day. Enjoy the draft.
Thank you, Wayne. Take care.
Bye-bye. And that wraps it up. Short show, but an informative show, timely. Today's Friday. The draft is Monday. So I hope you get something out of it. And I'll see you next week.